Graham Mertz is officially out for the remainder of the 2024 season, so it's DJ Lagway time.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Tuesday. I'm Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI.com. Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And the unfortunate news came out yesterday officially that Graham Mertz would be out for the remainder of the season with a torn ACL. On Saturday night against Tennessee, he threw the touchdown pass to Arlis Boardingham, was like kind of sidestepping / backing up a little bit, and then it looked like his knee kind of buckled, cleat got caught in the turf, and he came out limping and went to the locker room. I will say it was notable during the game that he was in the locker room for a really long time. And I think at that point, a lot of people started going, okay, well, he's probably not coming back for a long while. When it happened, it looked like it might have been an ankle or a knee. We were hoping ankle because obviously that's probably not going to be, hey, you're going to be out for a very long time. Not that ankle injuries are always quick, but that, we knew that a non-contact knee injury would be worse than non-contact rolled his ankle. Unfortunately, it is a torn ACL. He came back to the sideline on crutches with no uniform on, and the commentators kind of implied that they expected Graham Mertz to be out for the year. They're like, you hate to see it end like this, all that stuff. But they're right. You do hate to see it end like this. Because again, and we talked about this since that game, I am someone that wanted DJ Lagway as a starting quarterback. However, I wanted DJ Lagway to be the starting quarterback because Billy Napier felt like he'd be the better option as the starting quarterback. Not because Graham Mertz got injured. You absolutely hate to see an injury like this, especially to a kid in his last year of eligibility. And I know that there have been people that have asked about the medical red shirt. Could he earn another year, especially given that Cam Rising is confirmed that if he wants to sit out the rest of the year and come back with a medical red shirt, he can do that for an 8th year. The issue there, the difference there, not issue, difference there, is that Cam Rising has only played in 3 games to this point. Graham Mertz has played in 5, which means the medical red shirt is now off the table for Graham. It is on the table for Cam Rising. So Graham's done unless he can get some kind of other waiver, which I would put nothing past that possibility. I mean, we've got Cam McCormick is in year 9. There's Alan Bowman is in year, I think, 7 or 8 with Oklahoma State. There's a lot of guys all throughout college football that have additional years of eligibility. But to my understanding, it's expected this is going to be Graham's last year. And I don't know if he's going to try for another year. I do think that Graham will get an NFL camp invite. I especially feel bad for him because this is likely going to cut into significantly his pre-draft process. I'm not sure if he's going to be, throwing normally by the time we get to the Florida Gators Pro Day or the Combine or anything like that. So it sucks to see, but this is now DJ Lagway's team for the remainder of the season. He gets the starting nod. And again, it's something where I'm happy that DJ Lagway is going to be the starting quarterback for the remainder of the season, but I'm annoyed in which the way that it came about, because I don't think that this is the way anybody wanted it to come about. And if you are celebrating this injury just because you go, oh, well, DJ Lagway's here, like, that's great. sucks for Graham, like whatever. Like I don't think that's the right approach to things. Have a little bit of class. I don't think that's a good thing to say. Like, I don't think it's good news here because, again, it's coming at the cost of a college student athlete getting a significant injury that's probably going to play an impact in his NFL future, which already looked pretty slim. It's not something to be happy about at all there. However, it's the matter of the situation. It's football, right? There's going to be injuries. There's going to be negativity around it. And DJ Lagway, now starting quarterback, the offense for the Florida Gators, despite the insanely tough schedule that you have remaining, because right now you have Kentucky this week, then a bye, then Georgia, then Texas, then Ole Miss, then LSU, then Ole Miss, and then Florida State. It's a hell of a final stretch. These next few games specifically are going to be really tough. It's not a fun thing to go through when you go, okay, true freshman starting quarterback. It's going to be pretty rough, right? But again, DJ Lagway makes this offense way more dynamic comparatively to what Graham Mertz did. And we will say this because you go watch the game and you can know the things that happen. We'll talk in depth about them, later on in the show and throughout the week and throughout the season. But one big thing that we talked about a lot with Anthony Richardson, which, by the way, also, this is not going to be Billy Napier's first time calling plays for a mobile dual threat quarterback. In fact, Graham Mertz was the first time that Billy Napier was calling plays for a non-mobile quarterback. And not that he's a complete statue, but, it's not like his legs are a huge threat there. But when you watch the 2022 Florida Gators and you see Anthony Richardson in that quarterback and you see, oh, well, every time he's handing it off out of pistol or gun, provided that he's not turning his back, defenses have to respect it. They have to kind of break down and look and watch that. And I expect to see that be a big part of this as well with the option game, which we will talk about in the next segment. But also the run game should just open up simply because teams will need to respect DJ Lagway's legs. Simply because teams will need to look at DJ Lagway in the backfield every time that he's got two hands on the ball and he's handing it off. If he got one hand under the ball and he's handing it to a running back, no one's really worried too much about the run there, although you probably still should be because, we saw Peyton Manning run bootlegs like that and just have open space in front of him. Imagine if you give that to DJ Lagway. But run game should open up overall, which, by the way, Montrell Johnson, not expected to miss significant time. We don't have a true timeline here, but I don't know. I don't think he'll be there this week, which could be tough because that would mean no Montrell, no Graham Mertz, likely no Treyon Webb. Could be ugly. It's probably going to be an ugly game regardless because it's Kentucky, and Kentucky's that kind of team where they will drag you down and play an ugly football game gladly. So there's that. I would also expect play action passing to become much more prominent and much more effective for the Florida Gators throughout the remainder of the season. We will talk about that and so much more next on Locked On Gators. All right, Locked On Gators fans, it's time for the Roy Player of the Week. The Roy app lets you directly support your favorite athletes. Unlike collectives where you make a donation to a general fund, Roy lets you choose the specific athlete. Keep in mind, for Florida Gators fans, Florida Victorious, you can choose a specific fund in the sport as well. I will be honest with you. I have reallocated my Florida Victorious donation to basketball. Maybe do the same until football changes. That's how I'm going to be about it. This week, we are choosing Cam Jackson for the Roy Player of the Week for Locked On Gators because 2 years in a row, he has owned Tennessee, regardless of the outcome. Played damn well. So we just contributed $100 to his campaign on Roy. So if you want to join by making a payment, as little as $10, when enough of us contribute, it's not just about the dollars, but it's about the message that we want to send as well. So with Roy, we can give a player money And Roy is giving one lucky fan 2 tickets to any game of their choice in November. So download Roy in the App Store or Google Play. Use code LOCKEDON when signing up, and you're entered. If you're already on Roy, just make a payment, and you will automatically be entered. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. So go to joinroy.com for official rules. Download Roy. Try it out. There's no subscription, no recurring fees, and for as little as $10, you can get in the NIL game with Roy. Support the players. Change the game. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever the podcast and on YouTube. And like I mentioned, with the Florida Gators offense, it's going to change with DJ Lagway at the helm, right? I think everybody acknowledges that. Everybody accepts that because it's going to look pretty different. There's 2 very different quarterbacks here. I want to go back to the RPO and the option game, because the RPO, by the way, we need to have a little class about this for a quick second, just a little lesson here. RPO, there's levels to it, right? Because I talked about the RPO on Saturday night, and there were a few comments that seemed to be confused about things. RPO is not a specific play call. It's the play type, right? Like a run isn't a play call. A pass isn't a play call. There's levels to it, right? It's the section of the play call. So the RPO, there's variations where it's as simple as, hey, QB, you either hand this ball off or you throw it, because it's the run pass option. So you either hand it off or you throw it. There's also the level of you either hand it off, you throw it, or you can keep the ball yourself. With Graham Mertz, we've seen the RPOs of you either hand the ball or you throw it. With DJ Lagway, Anthony Richardson, we'll likely see the types that are more, hey, you can either hand it off, throw it, or run it yourself because you are an athletic quarterback, so you can do that. That's also just straight up something that should be the case with Florida with DJ Lagway at starting quarterback. DJ Lagway has elite athletic traits. He is 6'3", 240 pounds. He can go out there and run through a face, right? The Marshawn Lynch way. And having that just option threat is a lot for defenses. I want to see more work out of the gun. I want to see more work out of the gun from DJ Lagway, because I want to see DJ Lagway freeze defenders. That's what happens when you have a dual threat quarterback. They read the backside edge, okay? Or whoever they're reading, but in this case, we'll use backside edge, probably the most commonly read defender. They read the backside edge. Backside edge stands up, hand the ball off. Call it a day. Backside edge runs in. You take the ball yourself, because he's running at the running back. So you take the ball yourself, or you make the throw, because it could be a bubble, it could be a slant, it could be a hitch, it could be 1,000 different things, especially in college where there's different RPO rules for how far downfield an offensive lineman can go before you throw the ball. There's levels to it. You don't believe me about that part? Look at Ole Miss, look at Wake Forest. They both abuse the fact that offensive linemen can go further downfield than in the NFL, which is one of the reasons that I think Lane Kiffin might not be as keen to the NFL as some people think. And that's not a Lane Kiffin to Florida thought. That's a Lane Kiffin thought, regardless of where he is presently, okay? Or where he's going to be. But the RPO and the option game need to be more involved for the Florida Gators with DJ Lagway at the helm. Again, you can be just that threat. If you're working out of the gun, you don't even have to actually read the backside edge. You could just pretend that you're reading the backside edge. And if the backside edge buys it for a second and stands up instead of attacking the running back, you've now got a numbers advantage there. Okay? DJ Lagway has, I think, a trait that many Florida Gators fans, when we talk about arm talent, when we talk about arm strength, usually I think they think, oh, he could throw the ball really far. That's true. But when we're talking about arm talent, we're not just talking about he could throw the ball really far. We're also talking about, oh, he could throw the ball really far. he could throw the ball fast, and he could throw the ball from different arm slots. And arm slots we've talked about a lot is like the baseball thing, which DJ Lagway did play baseball. We can talk about the baseball side of things where you can throw your normal throwing motion. You could throw sidearm. You could submarine it a little bit. You can move your arm and throw from different slots. I know that for me, when I think of who started doing that effectively and consistently, I think of Matt Stafford. I know many people also think of Vince Young as one of the guys that kind of started throwing from different arm slots. And now if you look at ESPN, Patrick Mahomes does it, and they lose their freaking minds about it, which he's incredibly talented. I fully understand that. He's not the first guy to throw from different arm slots, and he's not the first guy to do it consistently or effectively. Not the first. He might be the best, but he's not the first. And with the RPO game, it's important to be able to throw from different arm slots because you're going to have an edge defender potentially in your way. It's important to be able to get velocity on your ball because if you've got a linebacker drop back, you've got a slant coming across, and if the edge defender runs in, your thoughts throw the ball, or if he stands up, you throw the ball there, whatever the read is on that play. You need to get the ball there quickly before a linebacker can come in. So that arm velocity is huge. When we talk about the arm strength of throwing the ball deep downfield, we've seen plenty of that so far. And I'm looking at DJ Lagway, and I'm going, hey, these play action shots that we need to see really matter here. The shot play, or actually not even shot play, because shot play is generally, you think about it and you say, okay, well, you take the snap and you're throwing this ball deep. It's a shot play. You're taking a shot. DJ Lagway this year on play action, 16 for 24 passing. Okay, 276 yards, touchdown. He's got 3 big-time throws, 1 turnover-worthy play. There's been a drop. Otherwise, he would be 17 for 24. He takes deep shots, and he does it really well because he's got that velocity. He's got the ability to get the ball to receive. I mean, look at the Samford game, of course, was where he did most of his damage there. Understandably, it's the time where we saw him play the most. Who'd have thought? But when you have a quarterback as athletic as DJ Lagway, you really make defenders and defenses kind of pause a little bit when you run that play action. Because again, with DJ Lagway, your run game is usually more effective with a dual threat quarterback in general. So run game gets better. When your run game gets better, your play action game gets better. By the way, I want to make this clear as well. You don't need a good run game to have a good play action game, okay? Factually. That's statistically proven. You don't need a good run game to have a good play action game. A better run game leads to a better play action game, but you don't need it to be a good run game in order to be just a good passing game. But when you layer these things, better run game because of DJ Lagway's legs, yes. However, defenders on the second level and the third level, when they know that there's a quarterback that can run and you're running the option a good bit and they're getting ready to help stop that, they freeze for just a little bit. Receivers buy them, especially when you have the speed that Florida has at receiver. So I'm expecting to see more play action deep shots. And I need to phrase this properly. If we don't see more RPO, if we don't see more option, if we don't see more deep shots, play action deep shots specifically, I'm going to lose my freaking mind because that's another coaching failure there. Okay? Trying to throw that out there. However, it's not just that the offense gets better. It's not just the run game. In fact, that everyone gets impacted by this. And we will talk about that next on Locked On Gators. Hey, NFL fans, you can start this season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, I don't know, let's say Sunday Night Football, they're throwing the ball to Tyrone Tracy Jr. The Giants are throwing the ball to Tyrone Tracy Jr. a lot. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to bet him to have 50 receiving yards at plus 230. Don't ask me where I'm getting the specifics from. Definitely not personal experience. You can bet that, and you can cash on that. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free reviews in the podcast and on YouTube. And like I said, it's not just DJ Lagway that's impacted by him starting. It's not just the running backs impacted by him starting. It's also the offensive line. It's also the receivers, the tight ends. Everyone gets impacted by this. And I will say this as well. I think that we're about to see a case of the Anthony Richardson effect when we look at DJ Lagway and this team, where we go, hey, he's not under as much pressure, or he's not getting sacked as much, and people go, wow, this offensive line's so good. When in actuality, it's a combination of things. One, defenses tend to be less aggressive, I think, against really mobile quarterbacks, because if they get to the edge, they're going to pick up big yardage. And so defenses sit in zone coverages and they keep their eyes on you in the backfield and keep you from being able to run a ton on them. Like, if you come out in cover 0 or any kind of man coverage and guys are running downfield, you don't have to contain. Bye. That's a big gain for a mobile quarterback, right? We see it all the time. I mean, look at, again, and I'm not trying to constantly bring up 2022 Utah or 2022 Florida Gators, but when we talk about a truly mobile quarterback, it's DJ Lagway. And the most reasonable comparison we have for him under Billy Napier is Anthony Richardson. It's also important because it's the same offensive play caller. Okay? Look at 2022 Utah, when Utah's playing man coverage and Anthony Richardson rolls out and just runs downfield, long touchdown right after won't back down plays, just electric, right? That's what you can see from mobile quarterbacks. Also, the addition of DJ Lagway means that we will potentially see the return of my favorite run concept ever, split zone read. I'll draw it up another day. We'll talk about it again. We will talk about DJ Lagway starting, but split zone read is my favorite run concept. If you don't know what split zone is, it's, let's say, running back is on the right side of the quarterback, or we'll say pistol because it's Billy Napier. So running back is in the pistol behind the quarterback. Tight end is on the left side, right? Running back runs to the left side, tight end pulls to the far right, and he's got a cutback lane. Like, he seals a cutback lane in the zone block, right? Okay? So he's going away from the running back. Split zone still goes away from the running back, but he can now lead block, or split zone read. He can now lead block for the quarterback that's running out wide, right? So quarterback reads the end, and quarterback's read is, hey, run it. Okay, he runs it. Tight end can come clean up the edge defender, and QB can pick up additional yardage there. Split zone reads beautiful, very effective under Billy Napier with Anthony Richardson. I would expect to see some more of that this week and in the coming weeks, but it's something that Florida needs to do, okay? However, like I said, receivers are impacted. Tight ends are impacted. You look at the Tennessee game, we'll say, right? We'll go to the Tennessee game specifically just to talk about the change, because I know that that's one thing that a lot of my listeners said to me. I know that's what the Locked On Gators insiders said, which if you want to be a part of that, the link's in the description below. I know it's something I've seen on Twitter. It's something I've heard in Twitter Spaces where they go, hey, the tight ends were open in the entirety of the first half. They were working so much. They were working effectively. And then it just stopped. I wonder what happened. What happened was that Graham Mertz got injured. Truly, that's what happened. Because, and I talked about this on Saturday night, quarterbacks have tendencies. Russell Wilson doesn't throw to tight ends often, not because he doesn't like tight ends, but because he's not looking over the short or intermediate middle of the field that much. Okay? DJ Lagway also is not that he doesn't throw to tight ends. It's that he's looking outside and deep. That's what he looks for usually. It's not a knock. It's not that one's better than the other. It's just a tendency. And you could see deep and outside are DJ Lagway's tendencies. partially because he's got a big arm, and so he can do that. He's looking for those. A dynamic quarterback is looking for dynamic playmakers. It's not rocket science. It's not an insult. It's not a knock. It's not anything other than his tendency, okay? But that being said, when talking about his tendencies, you're probably going to see tight ends be less involved, not because they are literally less involved, but because DJ Lagway is not looking at them so much, which again could change throughout the season as DJ Lagway gets more comfortable in the offense, as he gets more accustomed to current modern defenses, and he's facing those Georgias, Kentuckys, Texas. Like when he's facing those teams, maybe he learns to adapt. But when we look at what DJ Lagway is probably going to be looking to do, it's throw the ball deep. He throws the ball. He loves throwing the ball deep, and there's nothing wrong with that. He's got a big arm and dynamic playmakers. Florida Gators fans want him to throw the ball deep. But again, that comes with a cost, right? I think a lot of fans online go, oh, throw the ball deep and throw a lot to tight ends. It's, well, there's only so many passing opportunities, right? Something has to be sacrificed. We know that there's going to be swing passes and screen passes to running backs. We know that DJ Lagway is going to be looking for the deep ball to Chim Dike, to Elijah Badger, to Trey Wilson, hopefully. Someone has to see less touches because of that, right? Probably going to be Arlis Boardingham and Hayden Henson, who, by the way, played great against Tennessee. They got targeted 7 combined times, combined for 6 catches and 80 yards and a touchdown. They each had 3 catches. They each had 40 yards, and Arlis had a touchdown. You're probably going to see those guys get the ball a little bit less until DJ Lagway gets more comfortable with it. That's fine. It's just something they're going to be impacted by it. But again, receivers, the dynamic receivers that we spent the better part of 2024 talking about for the Florida Gators, where we go, oh, Trey Wilson's so dynamic and explosive. Chim Dike, so dynamic and explosive. Aiden Mizell, so dynamic and explosive. Elijah Badger, so dynamic and explosive. Tank Hawkins, so dynamic and explosive. All those guys, probably going to get the ball more, right? Probably going to get the ball deep downfield more. It's a beautiful thing, right? Especially on play action deep shots. We're going to see those. It's not a knock on Hayden. It's not a knock on Arlis. I mean, both these guys have made bigger plays. I mean, Hayden's almost at his receiving total from last year. He's 5 yards away from his receiving total from last year. Okay? He's getting more targets, more catches. Makes sense, right? Arlis is at a little less than half. He's just simply put, as in terms of a yards after catch, but he's doing less this year than he did last year. And that's a big differentiator there. But this is an offense that is probably going to be more explosive, more boom, more bust. Defense is probably going to be on the field more because drives will get stalled quicker or score quicker. Everyone's going to be impacted by this. Okay. The Florida Gators, I think, got better. Again, it's not a knock on Graham. I just think that the running game should get better with the dual threat quarterback. It's not Graham versus DJ. It's dual threat versus not. And I think that opens up a lot for the Florida Gators offense. And again, probably going to make defense's life a little harder. You're either going to be quick strike or, again, out quicker when you have deep shots, more incompletions. Makes sense. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free. We have us in the podcast and on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow. Talk more Florida Gators football for Locked On Gators. I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Neil Johnson on SI. And I'll see you all next time.